Right now, there are plants growing in your lawn, in the hedgerow at the end of your road, in the field you drove past this morning. Plants that stopped bleeding on Roman battlefields, that ancient Egyptian physicians prescribed as their most powerful medicines, that 3 completely separate civilizations on different continents discovered independently without ever speaking to each other. One of these grows in almost every lawn in North America. Most people that are either walking past them without a second glance or spraying them with weed killer on a seasonal schedule. Today, I'm going to show you 20 of the most forgotten medicinal plants on Earth. These are plants that were once household names in every culture, across every civilization. Plants with thousands of years of documented use, and a growing body of modern science that confirms what ancient healers already knew. Stick around because number 17 on this list was independently discovered by 3 separate ancient civilizations who had never made contact with each other, all arriving at the exact same conclusion. And number 20 is so overlooked that researchers are actively studying it right now as a potential solution to one of the most urgent modern health problems we face. Hit that subscribe button, because every week we go deep into the ancient wisdom that built human civilization, backed by the modern science that proves it still works. These are not folktales. Here are 20 of the most forgotten medicinal plants that will heal you, ranked from remarkable to absolutely extraordinary. Number 1, Yarrow, the warrior's wound healer. Let's begin with Yarrow because this plant has one of the longest and most consistent healing records in all of human history. Achillea millefolium, named after the Greek hero Achilles, who, according to legend, used it to stop his soldiers bleeding on the battlefield, has been found in Neanderthal burial sites, dating back over 60,000 years. People were reaching for this plant before recorded civilization existed. Every ancient culture that encountered it arrived at the same conclusion. Roman legions carried dried yarrow in their standard field medicine kit. Native American tribes across the continent independently discovered identical applications. Medieval battlefield surgeons kept it in their pouches as a primary wound remedy. For most of human history, every person alive knew exactly what yarrow was and what to do with it. Modern science has now confirmed precisely why it works. Yarrow contains compounds that actively promote platelet aggregation, the biological process that forms blood clots. Research published in phytochemistry journals has documented its genuine hemostatic properties. The ancient healers were not guessing. They were working with a plant that genuinely does what they said it does. You can make yarrow tea from dried flowers and leaves for digestive and anti-inflammatory support. Think of it as the plant that kept armies functioning before modern medicine existed, still growing wild in every meadow, still carrying every compound that made it famous. Number 2, elderberry, the immune fortress. Elderberry might be the single most documented traditional medicine plant in the Western world. And yet, most people treat it as a novelty item at the health food store, rather than what it actually is. One of the most consistently validated medicinal plants in modern clinical research. Sambucus nigra has been used as medicine since ancient Egypt. Hippocrates called the elder tree his medicine chest. Medieval European households maintained elder trees specifically for their healing properties, using every part from root to flower to berry. And then, Somewhere between industrialization and the modern pharmacy, most people forgot it existed. The deep purple berries contain some of the highest flavonoid concentrations found in any fruit. Multiple randomized controlled trials have shown that elderberry preparations reduce both the duration and severity of respiratory infections. A study published in the journal Nutrients documented significant reductions in cold duration among air travelers taking elderberry. And here is the strange part. The mechanism is now fully understood. Elderberry compounds both stimulate immune response and inhibit viral replication simultaneously. Your great-grandmother kept elderberry syrup in the pantry as a matter of course. Modern clinical science has confirmed she was right. Making it is simple. Simmer dried elderberries with water, honey, cinnamon, and cloves. Strain and refrigerate. Take a tablespoon daily through winter. It is like having a pharmacy in a berry that grows wild across most of the temperate world. Number 3. Valerian, the forgotten sleep remedy. This one gets surprisingly political. We live in the middle of a genuine sleep crisis. Millions of people struggle to fall asleep and to stay asleep. And entire pharmaceutical industries have been built around synthetic sleep aids that have significant side effects and real dependency risks. Meanwhile, growing in damp meadows across Europe and Asia, Valerian has been solving this exact problem for 2,000 years. And it was essentially abandoned the moment pharmaceutical alternatives arrived. Valeriana officinalis was described for sleep by Dioscorides in the 1st century. Medieval European monasteries grew it as a standard healing herb. It was used for shell shock and for anxiety in soldiers during both world wars. Then, pharmaceuticals arrived, and Valerian was quietly forgotten. The active compounds in valerian root appear to interact with GABA receptors in the brain, the same receptors targeted by pharmaceutical sleep aids, but through a gentler and apparently non-addictive mechanism. Multiple clinical trials have demonstrated that valerian preparations improve sleep quality, reduce the time needed to fall asleep, and decrease nighttime waking. You prepare it as a tea or a tincture from dried root, taken about an hour before bed. Think of it as the sleep remedy that kept Roman citizens, medieval monks, and World War soldiers sleeping through their worst nights. Still effective, still available, still almost completely forgotten. Number 4. Milk thistle, the liver's ancient protector. Here's one that modern science did not just confirm. It confirmed so thoroughly that it ended up in official pharmacopoeias. Silybum marianum, the milk thistle, with its distinctive spiny leaves and purple flower heads, has been used as a liver medicine for over 2,000 years. Pliny the Elder described it specifically for liver complaints in the 1st century. It remained in official European pharmacopoeias through most of the modern era, and then slowly disappeared from common knowledge as pharmaceutical liver treatments arrived. The active compound silymarin, concentrated in the seeds, is one of the most studied plant medicines in modern science. Research has consistently documented its ability to protect liver cells from damage, support liver regeneration, and reduce liver tissue inflammation. The German Commission E, one of the most rigorous herbal medicine regulatory bodies in the world, formally approved milk thistle preparations for liver disease. This is not folk medicine speculation. This is documented, confirmed hepatoprotective activity in a plant that grows as a roadside weed across most of the world. Grind the seeds and add them to food. Take a standardized extract. Think of it as the plant that 2,000 years of physicians understood instinctively, that modern science validated comprehensively, now growing wild in fields everywhere. Number 5. Lemon balm, the calm in a leaf. Anxiety, chronic stress, a mind that won't stop. These are the defining complaints of modern life. And yet, the ancient Mediterranean world had a specific plant they reached for when these conditions appeared, one that medieval Arab physicians described as making the heart merry, that was grown in virtually every European monastery garden for centuries, and that the modern world then quietly forgot. Melissa officinalis, lemon balm, releases a gentle citrus scent when touched, and contains compounds that appear to influence GABA activity in the brain, similar to Valerian, but with a lighter, daytime-appropriate effect. Clinical research has shown lemon balm preparations reduce anxiety scores, improve mood, and enhance calm without causing sedation. Studies have also shown improvements in cognitive performance, an effect that ancient healers described without being able to explain, and that modern neuroscience is now beginning to understand. You can grow lemon balm in a pot on your windowsill. Make fresh leaf tea whenever you need it. The plant is one of the easiest herbs to grow, one of the safest to use, and one of the most pleasant to be around. Think of it as a natural anxiety remedy that smells beautiful, tastes pleasant, costs essentially nothing, and has 2,000 years of consistent documentation behind it. Number 6. Marshmallow root, the forgotten soother. Before marshmallow became a confection, roasted over campfires, it was a medicine. Althea officinalis was prescribed by ancient Egyptian, Greek, Roman, and Arab physicians across thousands of years for a single primary purpose: soothing inflamed and irritated internal tissue. The gut lining, the throat, the urinary tract, the respiratory passages. Wherever the body's internal surfaces become inflamed or damaged, marshmallow root was the traditional remedy. You can see the mechanism work with your own eyes. Stir powdered marshmallow root in cold water and watch it become viscous and gel-like. That's what it does inside your body. Physical protection. Not metaphorical. Not pharmaceutical. Just coating, soothing, protecting. Modern research has confirmed the mechanism precisely. The mucilaginous polysaccharides in marshmallow root are documented to be effective for gastritis, acid reflux, sore throats, and urinary tract irritation. You prepare it as a cold infusion, not hot tea, to preserve the active compounds. Think of it as the plant that gave us candy, but whose real gift was medicine. Forgotten on the candy aisle, while the actual healing tradition quietly disappeared. Number 7. California poppy, the gentle pain reliever. Most people hear the word poppy and immediately think danger. But California poppy, Eschscholzia californica, contains none of the compounds that make opium poppy hazardous. It is completely legal everywhere. What it does contain is a range of alkaloids with genuine pain-relieving and relaxing properties, working through entirely different mechanisms. Native American peoples of California used it for tooth pain, headaches, and nervous tension for centuries. Spanish missionaries documented its use in the early colonial period. Then it became appreciated almost exclusively as an ornamental plant with brilliant orange flowers, and its medicinal tradition was essentially lost. Modern research has confirmed genuine anxiolytic and mild analgesic properties. Studies have shown reductions in anxiety and improvements in sleep quality without dependency risks. The plant grows easily from seed, self-seeds prolifically, and tolerates poor soil and drought. Tea or tincture made from the whole plant has the most potent effect. Think of it as the pain-relieving wisdom of indigenous Californian healers, backed by modern pharmacological research, growing in your garden as an annual that replants itself for free. Now, if this is shifting the way you see the plants growing around you every single day, hit that like button right now. It helps this reach people who are ready to reconnect with knowledge that modern culture spent a century quietly discarding. And if you have not subscribed to the Green Domain yet, now is the moment. Every week we go deeper into the intersection of ancient plant wisdom and modern scientific understanding. Let us keep going, because the next stretch is where this list starts getting genuinely extraordinary. Number 8. Holy Basil, the stress-adaptive herb. Not the sweet basil in your kitchen garden. Holy Basil, Ocimum tenuiflorum, also known as Tulsi, is one of the most revered medicinal plants in the 5,000-year-old Ayurvedic tradition of India. It grows in courtyard gardens outside Hindu temples across the Indian subcontinent, maintained as a sacred plant by a civilization that never forgot it, even as the Western world developed essentially no awareness of it whatsoever. Holy basil is classified as an adaptogen, a category of plants that help the body manage physical and psychological stress by modulating the stress hormone response. Research has documented holy basil's ability to reduce cortisol levels, improve resilience to stressors, and reduce both anxiety and depression scores in clinical settings. And here's the part that surprises most people. The effects are cumulative and preventive, rather than acute. This isn't a plant you take when you're already overwhelmed. It's a plant you take daily to build the capacity to handle stress before it breaks you. The flavor is distinctively clove-like and genuinely pleasant. Fresh leaf tea made daily is the traditional preparation. Think of it as the plant that an entire civilization maintained as sacred, specifically because of what it did for the human body under pressure. Number 9. Feverfew, the migraine plant. Medieval European healers had a specific plant for headaches. Tanacetum parthenium, feverfew, a daisy family plant with small white flowers and strongly scented leaves, was used consistently across centuries with a simple traditional protocol. Chew the leaves daily for headache prevention. It remained in common medicinal use through most of European history, and then gradually disappeared as aspirin and modern pharmaceuticals replaced it in most households. Modern research into feverfew has focused particularly on migraine prevention, and this is where it gets interesting. Multiple clinical trials have shown that regular feverfew consumption reduces both the frequency and severity of migraine attacks in a significant proportion of sufferers. The proposed mechanism involves parthenolide, a compound that appears to inhibit both platelet aggregation and prostaglandin synthesis, both directly relevant to migraine pathophysiology. The traditional preparation was eating 2 or 3 fresh leaves daily, usually sandwiched in bread to offset the bitterness. Daily prevention, rather than acute treatment, is how it works. Think of it as the remedy that medieval physicians prescribed for head pain, now with clinical trial evidence to explain precisely why their observation was correct all along. Number 10. Wood Betony, the almost completely erased healer. This next one might be the most dramatic fall from prominence of any plant on this list. Botanica officinalis was described by ancient physicians as effective for over 40 different conditions. Roman Emperor Augustus had it planted throughout his personal gardens. Medieval Europe considered it second only to elderberry in medicinal importance. It appears in virtually every significant herbal text from antiquity through the Renaissance. And today, most people have never heard its name. The plant produces upright stems with wrinkled leaves and dense spikes of deep pink flowers, growing in woodland edges across Europe. Modern phytochemical analysis has identified digestive bitters that genuinely stimulate digestive enzyme production, nervine compounds with documented calming effects, and anti-inflammatory agents that explain its traditional use for pain. Herbalists working in the tradition of European folk medicine never stopped using it, maintaining the knowledge across generations, even as mainstream culture forgot it entirely. You can find wood betony in specialist herb nurseries. Make dried herb tea or tincture from leaves and flowers. Think of it as the plant that held the most prestigious position in European herbal medicine for 1,500 years, treated emperors and peasants alike, and then vanished from common knowledge so completely that most people today could not identify it from a photograph. Number 11, self-heal, the plant that heals itself and you. Its name tells you everything about how ancient healers viewed it. Prunella vulgaris grows as a low, creeping plant in lawns and meadows across the entire northern hemisphere. That small plant with purple flower spikes in your lawn that you have been mowing down for years is one of the most consistently used medicinal plants in both European and Chinese traditional medicine, valued by completely separate healing traditions on opposite sides of the world for similar purposes, without any contact between them. And here it gets remarkable. Modern research on self-heal has identified rosmarinic acid and a range of polyphenols with demonstrated antiviral activity against multiple viruses, including herpes simplex. Clinical interest has grown significantly because of this antiviral activity, combined with documented anti-inflammatory effects. The plant is genuinely understudied relative to its traditional importance, which means the research we currently have likely represents only a fraction of its actual medicinal profile. Harvest self-heal from any unsprayed lawn or meadow. Make tea from dried aerial parts. Think of it as the plant, so abundant and universally present that human beings literally named it after its own healing power, now mowed down by the millions in suburban lawns, by people with no idea what they are destroying. This is the point where you realize something that is hard to shake once you see it. We did not lose this knowledge slowly. We lost it almost overnight. 1 or 2 generations. That is all it took to erase thousands of years of careful, observed, tested understanding of the plants growing all around us. Keep that in mind as we go into the second half of this list, because it only gets more remarkable from here. Number 12, Cleavers, the lymphatic mover. You know this plant. It is the sticky weed that clings to your clothing when you walk through hedgerows. Children have thrown it at each other as a game for as long as children have played in fields. It is one of traditional European herbalism's most important lymphatic herbs. Galium aperine was used across Europe, Asia, and the Americas for swollen lymph nodes, skin conditions, urinary tract support, and as a spring tonic after the stagnancy of winter. Modern research has begun identifying anti-inflammatory and diuretic compounds that provide a biological basis for these traditional applications. The lymphatic tradition remains an area where modern science and traditional practice have not yet fully met, but practitioners who maintain the European folk tradition continue to report consistent results. Harvest cleavers in spring when they are young and tender. Cold press the juice of fresh plants and take it as a daily spring tonic in the traditional way. Think of it as the spring cleaning remedy that every traditional European healer prescribed at the beginning of each year, growing abundantly in every hedgerow, requiring nothing but the knowledge to recognize it. Number 13, Agrimony, the gentle healer of the gut. Agrimonia eupatoria has been prescribed since ancient Greece. It appears in Roman texts, Anglo-Saxon healing manuscripts, and medieval European herbals as one of the most important digestive medicines available. Today, it grows quietly in hedgerows and woodland edges across Europe and North America. While most people walk past it daily, spending money on pharmaceutical antacids for problems this plant was specifically used to address. The plant produces graceful spikes of small yellow flowers with a pleasant apricot-like scent when dried. Modern analysis has confirmed significant tannin content that explains its traditional reputation for toning digestive tissue, along with bitter compounds that stimulate digestive function. Clinical study of agrimony remains limited, which is itself a reflection of how thoroughly it has been forgotten. But European herbal practitioners who maintain the tradition continue to use it as a primary digestive herb. Make gentle, pleasantly flavored tea from dried flowers and leaves. Take it after meals. Think of it as the digestive remedy that every traditional healer in Western history kept in their dispensary, still growing in hedgerows everywhere, still carrying the same compounds that made it famous. Number 14. Motherwort, the heart's forgotten herb. Leonuris cardiaca carries its medicinal reputation in its scientific name, cardiaca, meaning heart. Traditional Chinese, European, and Ayurvedic medicine all independently identified motherwort as a primary herb for heart palpitations, anxiety with cardiac symptoms, and the combination of stress and nervous heart irregularity that appears with remarkable frequency in modern life. The plant contains alkaloids, including leonorine with documented cardiac effects, including mild negative chronotropic activity, which means it can gently slow a racing heart. It is important to note that motherwort has genuine pharmacological activity and should be used with awareness, particularly by anyone on cardiac medications. But for the vast majority of people experiencing the racing heart and anxiety of modern chronic stress, motherwort tea is what traditional healers across 3 continents independently reach for, and modern pharmacology is now explaining precisely why. Think of it that as the plant whose medicinal purpose was literally encoded in its name. A plant that 3 separate healing traditions discovered independently, and that is still growing as a common weed in old gardens everywhere. Number 15, Skullcap, the nervous system's ancient friend. Here is one that modern medicine formally recognized and then quietly set aside. Scutellaria lateriflora, American skullcap, was used by multiple Native American tribes for nervous tension and anxiety, and it was included in the official United States Pharmacopoeia through much of the 19th century. Then, pharmaceuticals arrived, and it was replaced and forgotten. Modern research has identified biocolin and other flavonoids in skullcap with documented anxiolytic and neuroprotective properties. Clinical studies have shown improvements in mood, reductions in anxiety, and enhanced feelings of calm without sedation at therapeutic doses. The proposed mechanism involves modulation of GABA receptors and reduction of neuroinflammation, both directly relevant to modern nervous system disorders. Skullcap tea, made from dried above-ground parts, is the traditional preparation taken in the afternoon or evening for nervous tension. Think of it as the nervous system remedy that indigenous American healers maintained for generations, that 19th century physicians knew and used regularly, that was formerly in the official pharmacopoeia, and then got quietly replaced by synthetic alternatives. Now we're entering the final stretch, and I want to say something before we get to the last 5. Every single plant on this list was once common knowledge. Every grandmother, every farmer, every village healer across every culture knew these plants the way we know brand names today. And within 2 or 3 generations, most of it was gone. That's not ancient history. That's within living memory. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these plants you knew and which ones are completely new to you. I read every comment. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is the moment. Because next we have the 5 most remarkable plants on this entire list. Number 16. Plantain, the weed beneath your feet. Not the banana. The low-growing plant that every gardener fights every season in their lawn. Plantago major is among the most universally used medicinal plants in human history. Ancient Greek physicians, Chinese traditional medicine practitioners, Native American healers, medieval European herbalists, and Ayurvedic physicians all used plantain for essentially the same purposes. It appears in medical texts on every inhabited continent. No plant on this list was ever more universally known, which makes its current status as a despised lawn weed perhaps the greatest irony in the history of medicine. Fresh plantain leaves contain aucubin, a glycoside with documented anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties, along with mucilaginous compounds that soothe irritated tissue. Chew a fresh leaf and apply it directly to an insect sting. The relief is rapid. The mechanism is now understood. The compounds genuinely reduce histamine response and draw out local toxins. You have plantain growing in your lawn right now, almost certainly. The most available, most universally recognized medicine in human history. Now classified as a weed and poisoned on a seasonal schedule. Number 17. Ashwagandha, the tonic found by 3 civilizations. And here is the one I promised you at the beginning. Withania somnifera, ashwagandha was independently discovered and developed as medicine by 3 ancient civilizations that had never made contact with each other. Ayurvedic medicine in India has used it for at least 3,000 years as their primary rejuvenating tonic. Ancient Egyptian physicians documented a plant matching ashwagandha's description for fatigue and wasting conditions. Traditional African medicine systems incorporated closely related Withania species for identical purposes. 3 separate civilizations, working from independent observation on different continents, thousands of years apart, all concluded that this plant was among the most powerful medicines available to them. And modern science did not disprove this. It was confirmed. Clinical trials have documented significant reductions in cortisol, improvements in strength and muscle recovery, thyroid support, improvements in male fertility markers, reductions in anxiety and depression scores, and enhanced cognitive performance. The active compounds, with analytes, appear to act across multiple body systems simultaneously, which is precisely why the ancient concept of a general rejuvenating tonic has a modern biological explanation that actually holds up. 3,000 years of documented traditional use, dozens of modern clinical trials, all pointing in the same direction. Think of it as the plant that 3 separate ancient civilizations independently identified as their most powerful medicine, that modern science then confirmed was exactly that. Number 18. Hawthorn, the cardiovascular guardian. Crataegus species have been used for heart health since at least the 1st century. Ancient Greek physicians described it, and Chinese traditional medicine used hawthorn berry, preparations for cardiovascular care for centuries. Medieval European healers planted hawthorn hedges specifically so the berries would be available as medicine. Then modern cardiac drugs arrived, and hawthorn retreated from mainstream awareness, while it continued growing in hedgerows everywhere, producing deep red berries every autumn, waiting. Modern cardiovascular research has validated hawthorn's traditional reputation in detail. Clinical studies have documented improvements in cardiac output, reductions in peripheral vascular resistance, and significant antioxidant protection for cardiac tissue. A major multi-center clinical trial investigated hawthorn extract in patients with heart failure and documented meaningful improvements in exercise tolerance. The German Commission E has formally approved hawthorn for cardiac insufficiency. The active oligomeric proanthocyanidins and flavonoids are among the most powerful cardiovascular antioxidants identified in any plant. You can find hawthorn berries in autumn in hedgerows across the northern hemisphere. Make hawthorn berry tea or syrup. Think of it as the heart medicine that every traditional healing system on the planet's northern landmass independently discovered, maintained for thousands of years, and now backed by clinical trial evidence, still fruiting in hedgerows everywhere. Number 19. Meadowsweet, the original aspirin. Before aspirin, there was Meadowsweet. Filipendula omaria grows along stream banks and damp meadows across Europe and Asia with cream-colored honey-scented flower clusters. And it contains natural salicylate compounds in its flowers and leaves. When German chemists synthesized acetyl salicylic acid in the 19th century, they named it after Spirea, the older botanical name for meadowsweet. The word aspirin literally comes from this plant. The pharmaceutical company named their most famous product after the herb they were replacing. Then the plant itself was forgotten, while the synthetic derivative became one of the most widely sold drugs in human history. But here's the part that changes the story entirely. While aspirin is well documented to irritate and damage the stomach lining, traditional herbalists consistently noted that meadowsweet actually helped digestive complaints rather than making them worse. Modern analysis suggests this is because the plant's natural salicylate compounds come buffered by mucilaginous compounds that appear to protect stomach tissue, the opposite of what the synthetic version does. The original version came with a protection mechanism that the synthetic derivative lost. Make meadowsweet tea from fresh or dried flowers in summer, when they are at peak potency. Think of it that as the plant that gave aspirin its very name, still growing wild in every damp meadow, now with a story that changes how you see both the plant and the drug. Number 20, Red Clover, the modern solution hiding in plain sight. Here we are, the one I saved for last. This plant does not just represent forgotten ancient wisdom, it represents something actively urgent right now. Trifolium pratans, red clover, grows in virtually every meadow, lawn, and disturbed ground across the temperate world. Children make chains from its flower heads. Farmers grow it as livestock feed. It has been quietly carrying one of the most relevant medicinal profiles for modern human health on this entire list. Traditional herbalists across Europe and North America prescribed red clover consistently for skin conditions, respiratory complaints, and what older texts described as hot conditions in the body, difficult transitions, loss of vitality, and the struggles of older women specifically. For generations, the mechanism was unknown. They just knew it worked. Then, modern endocrinology explained precisely why. Red clover contains isoflavones, plant compounds structurally similar to human estrogen. Multiple clinical trials have documented significant reductions in menopausal hot flashes, improvements in bone density markers, and cardiovascular benefits in women taking red clover isoflavone preparations. Current research is also investigating applications for prostate health in men, osteoporosis prevention, and hormonal cancer biology, though this research remains preliminary and complex. The ancient healers were prescribing this plant for hot conditions, for difficult transitions, and for maintaining vitality in older women. With no understanding of hormone chemistry, they were observing what the plant actually did, generation after generation, across centuries of consistent use. Modern endocrinology has now arrived at the same conclusion through clinical trials and mechanism studies. Make red clover flower tea from freshly dried flowers. The flavor is mild and pleasant. The plant is growing in virtually every environment you will ever walk through. The ancient wisdom was right. It was always right. We just stopped listening long enough to forget it. If this video changed the way you see the plants around you every single day, smash that like button. This is exactly what the green domain exists to bring you. The ancient wisdom that built human civilization, covered in modern research that confirms what traditional healers always knew. Drop a comment below and tell me which plant surprised you most. Which one are you going to find first? If you are not already part of this community, subscribe now and ring the notification bell. Every week, we go deeper into this recovered knowledge. The wisdom never went anywhere. It is in your lawn, your hedgerow, the meadow at the edge of your town. It has been waiting for you to remember it. And now you have.